Professor Black Ops, you see it, let's get it. Hacker claims to have stolen genetic data from millions of 23andMe users and trying to sell the information online. So let's look at that quick article. Anonymous hackers is claiming to be selling millions of genetic profiles cobbled together from hijacked 23andMe customers. The seller suggested the profiles, which includes email address, photos, gender, date of birth, and DNA ancestry, could be used to target users based on their ethnicity. And two, a lot of times is the FBI and the CIA and local police and sheriffs will request information from genetics companies because if they're on a crime scene, if that meets your genetics by 80 or 90%, that means that person's related to you. We're going to look at a short video. I think this is 10 years ago where they actually used 23andMe data to find a murderer in San Francisco. So we'll check that out at the end of this article. 23andMe, a genetic test kit company that offers ancestry and health report by analyzing a person's saliva, confirmed Friday that genuine customer data was for sale on a hacker's forum. However, spokesman told Bloomberg the company found no indication of a breach in its information system, and instead it appeared the hacker had logged into individual customers' account on 23andMe by reusing credentials found on databases from hacked accounts from other services on the internet. So they're telling you need to stop using the same password on all your accounts, all on the internet. The hacker also seemed to create profiles of additional people by copying their names of the 23andMe customers' relatives who have been connected using the company's DNA relatives tools. 23andMe DNA relatives features let users connect with potential relatives who share a similar DNA and exchange their genetic profile. We're taking this issue seriously and we continue our investigation to confirm these preliminary results, 23andMe said in a statement. On October the 2nd, an anonymous seller posted that they had 1 million databases on the forum and selling hacked data, referring to people in Central and Eastern European Jewish heritage. So as you see, they took your DNA and selling it on the hackers forum. Once again, let's look at this quick video. Like I said, it was used to help solve a crime. Oh, I want to say 10 years ago. So let's switch over to that and see. So you see it right there. Nobody ever wants to think about being related to a killer. Georgia woman's DNA linked to a relative to a 1980 murder. So let's listen to that video on there. I think it's right here.
This was more the kind of information Jessie Still was looking for 2 years ago when she bought a DNA test kit.
I think everybody's interested in where you come from, what, your ancestors were.
When her results came back, there were few surprises, like her connection to Africa.
And got that trace evidence of
Congolese?
Yes, Congolese and Angolan.
Right around that time,
we found the needle in the haystack.
Investigators arrested a suspected serial rapist and murderer who terrorized California in the 1970s and 1980s. They did it using something called forensic genetic genealogy, or FGG, to track down Joseph DeAngelo, the Golden State Killer, 42 years later. FGG uses someone's DNA profile, just like the one Jessie got from 23andMe, to flesh out a relative who might be connected to a crime.
I looked into how to do that and uploaded my DNA to GEDmatch and didn't really think anything would come of it, so I just uploaded it on there and kind of forgot about it.
But 2 months later, a cold case investigator 1,400 miles away sent Jessie this message. She was a familial match to a suspected killer.
At first I thought maybe it was a joke or a prank. Nobody ever wants to think about being related to the killer.
But Jessie kept thinking about the victim, Helene Przinski, a 21-year-old found in Colorado in 1980, raped and stabbed to death. For nearly 40 years, few leads and little evidence kept the case cold.
It's believed that Ms. Pusinski got off her bus after work.
But within months of getting Jesse's profile on GEDmatch, a big break in the case.
Here we are today where we have an individual who's in custody.
Detectives used Jesse's DNA to track down and arrest her distant cousin, James Clanton,
There's DNA that's part of this case, a big part of this case.
for the 1980 rape and murder of Helene.
Do you know him?
Nope, my dad doesn't know him. It's really just made me realize like everything is connected.
It's that connection that law enforcement agencies across the country and here in Georgia are hoping to use to solve even more cold cases.
It's really very fascinating.
Teresa Schieffer and her team at the Cobb County District Attorney's Office used it to solve a serial rape case in January. Fulton County used the same genetic tool to solve a cold case murder last year. And now the GBI, Atlanta Police, and several other local agencies are exploring the idea of using DNA profiles posted on public websites to track down criminal relatives.
So now that I know that it works and it's out there, I definitely think we'll be using it again.
It's going to create a whole host of issues.
Not so fast, says Georgia State University ethics law professor Jessica Sino.
It is the Wild West a little bit because there is no regulation.
Some users like Jesse do opt in to allow law enforcement to use their DNA profile. But Sino says that's not always the case. Law enforcement still has ways around it to access your DNA information. Without formal, uniform guidelines, it can leave consumers and the integrity of the criminal cases vulnerable.
And I think a lot of law enforcement agencies are going to be blindsided by this. Yes, maybe a relative committed a crime, but you may have also just found out that that person is adopted, or perhaps a parent had an affair. So there's so many, familial issues.
But the state of Georgia isn't even discussing the FGG concern. The chair of the State Public Safety Committee told The Reveal he couldn't answer questions about how lawmakers on his committee can protect Georgians, or if they even should.
District attorneys like Schieffer are not opposed to some regulation, as long as it allows them to still do their jobs.
We're going to start to see it more and more and more, and we'll need to resolve some of those issues, if we can, on the front end instead of dealing with that in the court system on the back end.
I think that strikes like a good balance, so people feel confident that they're safe, that they have their privacy.
Weeks since her DNA helped police crack a 40-year-old rape and murder, the suspect is still waiting for his day in court, and Jesse hopes her role in this investigation can help Helene's family heal.
That family that has been wondering for 40 years who killed their daughter, now they have an answer.
Well, you've seen it. That makes it interesting. That privacy data, who owns it? Does law enforcement just get your DNA whenever they want to it? That's one part of cybersecurity, data privacy. Once again, Professor Black Ops, please subscribe. Watch your genetic data when you fill out for them sites. Please subscribe.